Guys and girls, it's another cold day in Warrington. I'm back at Into Moto and I've got another bike for you that is, I'm not going to say different because it's not, but I've not seen one of these in Into Moto before, so of course I just had to take it out. So let's have a look at what I'm on. This is it. How nice does this look? And I, hand on heart, I've never seen one of these in the wild, but it was sat next to a couple of Keyway RKVs, V Cruises, and it just fit in beautifully. That kind of style. So it's the Hyosung GV125 Aquila, and yeah, let's have a look around the usual way, but aesthetically, I think it's a lovely looking thing, this. Let's do the full walk round. Now, I love the Keyway V Cruise RKVs. I just think they're really stylish looking 125 cruisers. Now this just follows that same recipe of, it's a 125, but it looks like an old classic looking cruiser, and this is the, well, it says bobber, but it just looks very similar to the V Cruise. In fact, there's a V Cruise just right there. Oh no, in fact that's not, that's an RKV. It's the same kind of style, but this looks a bit more old school, I would say, compared to the RKV. You've got these gaiters at the front like that, the old school headlight. Now if you compare that to, say, the Keyway version, Keyway's looks a lot more modern. That looks very similar to the Harley Davidson Sportster that I had. Same kind of bulb in there. Just gives it proper old school look from the front. But what a lovely looking thing. One thing that I'm not overly keen on, Keyway brand, where they've got integrated lights into the rear mudguard or fender, depending where you're from, or they've got them raising up from out the back of the fender. This kind of just looks like a bit of a nasty add-on at the back. I'm not too keen on the lights at the back, but that's about it. Everything else on this bike looks very nice. I do like the matte black finish as well, as opposed to the chrome. Always easier to keep it looking nice as opposed to getting your polisher out. The Grand Voyage. It certainly has the cruiser look to it. Got a very low seat. Let's talk seats right now. The seat height on this is really low. This is going to suit a shorter rider. It's got a 710mm seat height. I've got a really big bend in the knee. This bike suits the shorter rider. One thing that does surprise me, because it does look like a cruiser, the pegs, yeah, I'd say they're forward slightly, but, oh, I'm shivering now, it's getting that cold. The pegs are forward, but they're not like your standard cruiser where you are leg stretched out. Because the seat height is so low as well, it's very easy to maneuver this bike if you did want to move it while sat on it. If you were going to be lazy, which I am, it's very, very easy to move about. Easy bike to do it on because you're not on your tiptoes. In fact, I reckon you could be quite a bit below 5 foot and you'd probably still be able to flat foot this bike. If anybody is of that height, let me know in the comments. Always interested. Oh, not just about your height, but if you've got one of these and you're that height, because otherwise it's just weird, everyone just putting their height in. Yeah, weird. And I'm struggling to talk because it's so bloody freezing. I just keep shaking. It feels well balanced as well. We'll see what it's like on the ride shortly, but it feels comfortable. Initial impressions are, I like the looks and I like the seating position. Stay with me for this one. So it's got a 12-litre fuel tank, and according to the figures, it'll do around 90 miles per gallon. So it's fuel efficient, not the most fuel efficient 125, not when you compare it to something like that, but it's nothing like that as far as looks goes. This looks like a proper bad boy motorcycle, albeit it's only a 125cc. Horsepower, little over 13. So I don't think that's particularly bad either. We'll see how it performs when we hit the mean streets of Warrington shortly. 3-piston caliper at the front, disc brake, single piston on the back, and again disc brakes. Again, I'll do a brake test when we're out and about so we can see what the brakes are like. One thing that does stand out for me with this bike, and it's a common theme I think with cruisers, Keyway do it brilliantly as well, it just looks much bigger than a 125cc bike. It's got a chain drive and it's got 5 gears on this as well. It does just have the side stand. Again, very common with cruisers, really low down bikes. They don't tend to have centre stands. This has just got the side stand, and it looks like an old school side stand as well. Just very in keeping with the style. I really do love the looks of it. Bar end mirrors as well. Big fan of bar end mirrors as far as looks goes, especially if it's on something like this. Cruisers just suit them, whether the bar end mirrors at the top or whether they're on the bottom. They just seem to be in keeping with the style and look of the bike. However, experience has shown me they tend not to be the most practical mirrors out there. I can already tell with these, it's a very, very small mirror. Now, I've already spied on this that I'm going to instantly turn on when I start riding, and that is this bike has been fitted with Oxford heated grips. An absolute must for all year riding. Or you buy heated gloves, but heated gloves will only last, even like the ones I've got, if you're lucky, maybe 6 hours worth of riding, which is fine. But if you're out all day, you're going to run out of battery. Heated grips just keep going as long as the bike's going, and that is, keep your hands warm in this cold winter. Buttons wise on this, really like the look of the switchgear. It doesn't look cheap. Sometimes you can get like really cheap and nasty buttons on cheaper bikes, but these don't look cheap. Horn indicators, high and low. I don't know what we've got here. Is that light on, light off? That does look like it is a light on, light off. I'll confirm that when I start the bike up. But we've got that, we've got high, low beam, and we've got a pass button as well. Right hand side, bit of a different take I think on, never seen like that before. So you've got your engine start, but there's an engine cut off switch as well. So most people just have the button, don't they? This is different. Good to be different. I've already sat on it, as you've seen, and it is comfortable. It just looks very plush. Got something to grab onto there should you take a passenger on the back. And you've got the matching foot pegs. Looking all the way around this bike, the only thing really that stands out to me is just looking a bit, I'm not going to say naff, it just looks like they've gone to town with the styling and making it look cool, and then they've gone, oh, we need to put some rear lights and indicators on, let's just stick one of those on the back. I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be in keeping with the rest of the bike. But other than that, yeah, I'm really impressed with the looks. But if you've seen the channel before, I do love a cruiser. I love these retro looking bikes. Just hope it rides nice. I know I'm repeating myself saying it's cold, but it's bloody cold. I'm trying to keep my hands warm before I can turn these heated grips on. What I'm going to do now, head off, we'll go for a little bit of a ride. Price wise for this one, it is a used bike, but it's only got, I think, 2,000 miles on the clock. but it is up for sale for £2,999. So it is significantly cheaper than Keyway's V-Cruise, which I think is quite comparable looking, and certainly with the overall finish, I think it's very similar to that bike, and that bike is of course closer to the £5,000 mark. So let's take it out and see how it rides, because that's the big test. It can look amazing, it can have brilliant things like heated grips that's going to keep my hands nice and warm, but it's got to ride nice, otherwise what's the point? I've got to have fun on it, it's got to feel nice, it's got to have decent performance, and we'll go and find that out right now. Let's go. So heated gloves are on. Ordinarily you shouldn't need to. If you've got heated gloves, you don't need heated grips. You don't need to run them both at the same time. However, what I want to do is check that this is working. From personal experience, Oxford, absolutely amazing, because a lot of bike manufacturers out there, unless you're, I don't know, let's say Vosges or one of the brands that throw all of the kit at the bike so they come with heated everything, a lot of the other manufacturers, you've got to pay for heated stuff, and it's an extra, and it's an expensive extra, whereas Oxford do heated grips as an install that might cost you anything from like £80 to £200 depending what version you get, but it's significantly cheaper than getting one fitted by, I don't know, Honda, BM, something like that. They are just a great option, and they work just as well as any heated grip I've ever used, in fact probably better than some. I want it to sound nice. There you go. So I don't need them on really because I've got my gloves, but I want to see that they're working, and they're switching on fine, everything's working fine on the buttons, so I'm sure there won't be a problem. But yeah, I need to have extra warm hands. And now I'm sat here and I'm actually looking out of these mirrors. Yeah, just as I suspected really, they are tiny. They are tiny. You can see what you need to, but nothing more. As far as the screen goes, you've got the big rev counter taking up the left side. You've got all your warning lights and stuff hidden in there, so that nothing's on at the minute. The little LCD screen, you do have an engine temperature. You've got a nice size speedo there, nice and clear. Total miles, just over 2,200 miles, and there's a fuel gauge. So it hasn't got lots of information, but it doesn't need it. So moving around at slow speed, it's nice and easy peasy. Oh, I need to see what this button does now. Okay. Right, so this light, or this button on the walk round, I thought it was going to be like a light on off. It's actually your hazard lights. Normally they have the triangle to let you know, but this one doesn't, so it's hazard lights. Okay, so now I've got both legs up on the pegs. It does feel, yeah, I feel alright, but I'm gonna throw a caution in with that. I feel like if you had longer legs, you might feel a little bit scrunched up. I don't, but I'm not far off. It's developed a bit of attitude now. When you're revving it, it just sounds like any 125, but when it's engaged in gear and you give it a little bit, yeah, it sounds a little bit girthier. I'd probably still want something a little bit more if it was me personally, but not everyone's the same when it comes to noise. Some people just like a standard exhaust. I can feel the warmth of those heated grips now. So my gloves, I've mentioned them quite a lot just because I absolutely love them when it comes to this time of year, but all of the heated elements are on the top part of your hand, so your palm doesn't get any heat from the glove. It's just the outer part of your hand, and that's fine because that's the part that's going to get the cold air. so they work really, really well. But I can feel the heat on my palm now from the heated grips, which is amazing because it is very, very cold today. We're at 0, so it's gonna be a very, very cold night. Bit of frost this morning, but it's thawed out during the day, so I'm all right at the minute, but I am conscious of black ice and everything, so that hidden stuff, you just have to be really careful. I'm just one of the stupid ones that's biking in this kind of weather. So many people don't, and I can understand why you wouldn't if you don't have to, but the show must go on for me. I've got to keep these videos coming out, don't I? And to be fair, if you've got the right kit, likes of your heated gloves, a decent jacket, and in this case the heated grips, you're fine as long as you've got your right kit on. If you went out in jeans and a t-shirt, oh god, that would be hell. Early impression. So as far as my leg position goes and the comfort of the seating position, I'm actually quite happy with it. I would say the leg position is different to a normal, like, non-cruiser type bike, in that normally the pegs are a little bit lower, whereas these, they feel a little bit higher and they're slightly forward. It's just strange at the minute. It's not bad, it's just strange, and I think because of that, I know I'll warm into it. The more I ride it, the better the bike will actually feel for me, because it just takes some time. When you jump off one bike onto a different bike and your legs are in a different position, you do feel different for a bit until you get used to it. And you can see the gritters have been here. The road is full of salt and grit and all that stuff that makes your bike filthy. My back's nice and up straight, so that is for me the best position for longer rides, because if you're riding for a longer period of time, you don't want to start getting sore backs. You are not leaning on the handlebars and the grip, so you're not putting any pressure onto your wrists, so you're not going to get any sore wrists from riding this bike. And the gear changes, it rides like a brand new bike should ride. It's going into gear really, really nicely. Performance wise, yeah, it doesn't seem to be a quick 125 from this initial ride that I've done. It just doesn't give you that like burst of energy that you can get from some bikes. It feels more like just an average performing bike, not a bad performing bike, just an average one. And I don't have a mega issue with an average performing bike, because that means it's kind of as good as all of the other middle of the road bikes in performance. So it's not a bad thing, it's just not what I would call the top performers. Now what I want to do, I'm talking performance, so I'm going to just pull out of here like I need to pull out into a small gap. So I'm going to try and give it a little bit without being crazy because of the weather. Yeah, I mean, it gets to 30 mile an hour quick enough, so for normal roads riding about, it's not a bad thing, but it's not going to win any races, let's say that. It's what cruisers are made for, you know. You're supposed to bimble about on them, aren't you? Not win any races, just taking the scenery, have a little bit of a spin about, feel pretty cool when you're riding because you're on a bike that looks really nice. You feel comfortable and fresh as a daisy when you get off, and it just feels like that. Really good bike, to be fair, for that kind of riding. It doesn't feel to be as quick as the V Cruise or the RKV that Keyway do. There's no wind protection, but I think that's just a standard 125 thing anyway, in that you're only going to be doing at the max on something like this, if you're lucky, maybe 60 miles an hour, and at those types of speeds the wind protection, it's a bonus if you've got some, but if you've not, it's just going to be breezy. It's not the end of the world. It wouldn't put me off having one. So who's in the market for a new bike this year? I'm always in the market for a new bike. Always. There's only thing that stops me from buying new bikes, and that is usually money. In fact, no, it's not usually, it's always money. But I do like to change bikes from time to time. I think the issue I'm having at the minute is because I've got what I would call my perfect touring bike. I'm not looking at changing my Nikon, because it's the most comfortable bike I've ever had for tours. So I think the Nikon is just going to be one to stay. And then I've got my off-road bike, my Vosges Rally, and I'm not looking to change that either, because that for me is perfect for what I need it for. I'm an average to poor off-road rider, which means I don't need anything bigger than a 300, because the 300 is better than I am at off-roading. So yeah, I'm not looking to change that either. However, I do really want a cruiser of some type, or maybe an adventure bike, or maybe a scooter, or maybe all of them. I do think this year I would add to my collection, maybe add one, but I don't know what type. I'm unsure as of yet, because there's so many that I like. I really like the idea of having a little scooter to nip about town on. I like the idea of that, but I also like the idea of having a cruiser, and I do like adventure bikes. I think adventure bikes are brilliant as well, but then I don't know, because the adventure bikes it's like a touring machine, isn't it? And that's what I've got my Nikon for. So I don't know, at this moment in time, I don't know what this year's gonna bring, what other disasters are gonna happen in my life. At this moment in time, I don't know, but as the plan goes, I want to add one at some point during the year. So we'll see how that pans out towards the end of the year. But anyway, that's just me talking a lot of nonsense for you, innit? You want to know more about this bike, not about my bloody life and what bikes I want. But I am interested anyway with what you want. So yeah, let me know this year, what's your plans? Are you sticking with what you've got? Are you looking to change for something different? Are you upgrading, downgrading, upsizing, downsizing? Let me know. Let's start a conversation. I'm always interested to hear from you, always interested to see what people's plans are as far as bikes goes. Is it going to be your first bike that you're going for this year? Have you got your CBT booked? Let me know about that as well. Always interested, and if you need any tips, if I can't give them, there's enough people on here now subscribe to the channel that if you put a comment on about a CBT or something, there is always somebody that's going to know that can help you out. And that's what we do as bikers, we help each other out. I love the biking community for that, talking about stuff that's not this bike. So let's get back to the bike. So I'm having a really nice relaxed time. I think that's why I'm doing a lot of babbling and talking nonsense, because when you're comfortable and you feel comfortable on a motorcycle and everything just feels nice, really the main thing with this bike. Oh, I hope I don't catch that bug that's going round. I keep coughing today. Yeah, I think that's going to be my summary for this bike. It is a really comfortable bike to ride, there's no question about it. It's just a really relaxing bike to just have a really nice bimble about on. And that's what I love cruisers for. I've said it time and time again. Every time I take a cruiser out, I say it every single time, and I do believe it as well. I just think when you go out on a cruiser, you're not going out to win any races. You're not going out to thrash the bike everywhere. You're just out to just enjoy a nice bimble about. And this bike is like, it epitomises that. It is kind of a bike to go slowly on. And even if you wanted to go fast on it, you wouldn't be able to. It's not the bike for you if you're looking at the best performing or the best, fastest 125cc motorcycle out there, then this is not for you. But if you are looking for a bike that is different to the keyways that Into Moto sell, you've got a lot of bikes in that range. You've got the X-Lite, the K-Lite, the Super Light, the RKV, the V-Cruise, and that's just this style of bike. You've got other bikes like the Naked Sports and scooters and all that stuff. But if you're looking for a 125 that kind of is like a keyway but not a keyway, then this is probably the next best thing. If you've got one of these, I would love you to drop me a comment with your experience of riding round on yours, just purely because I can go and have a look round these bikes. I can take them for a little ride, but I don't live with them for weeks or months at a time or years. And if you've bought one, then you do, so you're going to be really well placed to talk about your experience. So please drop me a comment. And yeah, for everybody else, I would love to know this year, what's your plans? Are you looking at upgrading, downgrading, downsizing, upsizing? What's your plans for this year? What journey is your motorcycle going to take you on? We are in the first week of January at the time of recording this, so yeah, what's your plans for the year? Are you planning on doing a tour? Are you planning on doing something a bit different on the bikes? Let me know if you're going somewhere different, if you would recommend somewhere different. Let me know in the comments, because you're not just letting me know, you're letting everybody else know. We can start a bit of a conversation on there, can't we? Which is always good. Back to the bike. It's a lovely bike to ride. It's comfortable. It's for sale at less than £3,000, so if you're looking for a cruiser, it's available at Into Moto in Warrington. I'll put a link in the description, and yeah, if you want to just have a chat, drop a comment, give me a thumbs up. If you've never been here before, if you like somebody that just waffles on whilst reviewing a bike, then please hit that subscribe button and join the conversation, because you know, it's good to talk and engage with other bikers. It's always good to see a chat developing in the comments as well between other subscribers, having a chat. The only thing I would ask is, let's just keep it all friendly. We're all mates, we're all doing the same thing, we've all got the same passion, so let's just keep it nice and respectful. That's all I ask. But yeah, let's chat. Catch you on the next one. Laters.